To think outside the box, well, that may take some big creative ideas to generate such higher levels of thoughts. This is not just ordinary regular thinking. This level of thinking is something more advanced, maybe even spiritual. But to rise yourself to this type of maturity in your thinking, well, there is a lot of things you will have to consider and a lot of things you will have to change about yourself. And those considering changes starts with the small thoughts that are still in the box of your brain. This can be perceived as small mindset thinking, or in other words, maybe even immature mindset thinking. So you have to take care of the thoughts that are there first before you can begin anything that is bigger and broader on the thought process level. Now, according to the mass population of the world, most people only think within the means of what they know, along with what they can see, physically touch, and also what they can emotionally feel on the inside. Sometimes it's hard for a lot of people to figure anything differently outside of their everyday surroundings. So let's talk about what happens when you think outside the box. Well, first of all, your mind has to be able to take on newly sets of responsibilities. Your mind is equipped for most anything, but how you perceive what you actually take in is all in your discretion. There may be one thing that is viewed many different ways. Certain people can have a different outlook towards a specific thing versus other people view the same thing in a different way. On the contrary, it's the mindset that sets people apart from each other. It's their outcome of the physical action that shows the duties of the maturity of each individual's mind. Here's a certain type of standard. When your mind begins to mature inside the box, your thinking ability becomes much more creative. This creativity takes on a whole new world and you begin to do things a lot differently than you ever have before. This is when you begin to transition your thinking to outside of the box. I will hope that you are grasping the concept of what I'm talking about here, because thinking outside the box does not come lightly. But get this, at the same time, you don't want to force it into play. So, what type of mindset do you have to have when you think outside of the box? Well, let me simply put it to you this way. It takes a whole different type of mindset that comes with rules, regulations, philosophies, and principles. So basically, when you come up with your own in these categories, your whole lifestyle changes, and all of them in some shape or form upholds this lifestyle. For most people, this can be a daunting and stressful, challenging task. So what tends to happen with these people at the first sign of difficulty is that the majority of them give up and quit living the lifestyle altogether. They merely stop thinking. This is another reason why you don't want to force your creative thinking. You want to just let your thoughts flow nice and easy, being regulated by keeping your full attention on the thought itself. So please write this down. I will not be the one to give up and quit before I can know my ability to achieve my goal through the process of creative thinking. Again, that is, I will not be the one to give up and quit before I can know my ability to achieve my goal through the process of creative thinking. So, what is the mindset focus here? For anyone who can and who will take the time to think outside the box, this can be a favorable thing for them in a positive way. This is more in favor for the person that developed his or her own set of principles and stick to following them accordingly. All right, now write this down. I can dictate and control my own life with the set of my own principles. Again, I can dictate and control my own life with the set of my own principles. This also helps to regulate your thoughts, keeping your focus at ease as well. Thinking outside the box gives you a better chance to have a different lifestyle than what others do. This is a mindset that should manifest from relative thoughts changing into physical action. When the direction of your life changes, others may tend to look down on you and judge you by the changes of your lifestyle, then begin to put limitations on your character, try to voice their opinions on what you can and cannot do. In most case scenario, these type of people are small-minded thinkers, even on the immature side of the factor. They are still working from inside the box. And so whomever steps outside of this type of norm, well, it shakes things up a bit. Not that it can't be done, just to a lot of people, it could be a bit of a difference. And this difference can be scary, but more importantly, unusual to the ones who are not doing it. Listen, when you think outside of the box and move accordingly, especially in a positive direction, people will tend to look at you differently, and a lot of them same people will judge your actions in a negative way. Why? Because you're not moving in unison with the majority. Basically speaking, you're not going with the same flow anymore of what the masses are still doing. So therefore, trust and believe you are going to be judged. Thinking outside of the box takes on a different way of thinking in which you have to drop the mindset attitude of what others' thoughts are, even what they feel and what they may have to say about you. Caring about that will not only hold you back in life, but it can also but you can also draw complexities against yourself. Your mind has to be strong willing in the sense of some things you have to care about and other things you just have to let go of regardless. So please write this down. Nothing against the next person, but personally, I do not care what anyone says and think of me because I am not giving anyone a chance to make me feel less than who I really am. Again, that is nothing against the next person, but personally, I do not care what anyone says and think of me because I am not giving anybody a chance to make me feel less than who I really am. Thinking outside of the box can help you get more done physically than what you would normally do. So I have 3 subjects that I want to touch bases on, and they are: number 1, focus; number 2, procrastination; and number 3, physical abilities. So those of us who knows this will keep our focus sharp. This is another creative thinking that moves us forward. If you tend to let your thinking sway and waver, you open yourself up to procrastination, which procrastination is the lack of physical actions in that sense. See, we are physical beings, so our physical ability has to have a different, but rather a better drive. So no one can think for us and no one can do for us. In a sense, they can, but why would they? Especially if they could do the things for themselves. Don't get me wrong, because out of pure love, a person may do things for you to help out, although this takes on a whole different mindset, and that is a plus to you from the other person. You would just have to be grateful for whatever love they give. It's just that the mindset we possess at this point has to be greater in value, giving greater focus that transforms into greater physical ability that overcomes the downcast of procrastination. Although if procrastination has any inclination of setting in, the ability to take on any type of physical task becomes very vague. One of the lowest and shallowness to forward movement on the totem pole. Sorry. You definitely cannot start here by letting procrastination become a part of your lifestyle. If so, best believe this situation will take place much more often than you think. And this is something you would not probably be fond of in the long run. This will be a lack of benefit, constantly creating voids throughout your whole lifespan. Thinking outside of the box doesn't necessarily mean you are different or you're more smarter than anyone else, but it can help you to be more aware in your mind, that there is more to any circumstances than what may be presented and seen on the surface. Sometimes it helps to share your discoveries, but just know that some people may not understand, and some they may understand. Just don't get caught up into worrying about how some people may perceive what information you tend to share. Your job at this point as a messenger has been openly conducted. Therefore, you may never know who may be listening and actually paying attention, because there's a life that may be changing starting then. There are many fascinating things that can come from thinking outside of the box, such as, number one, uh, building a better lifestyle one could never imagine having. Number two, conducting a more mature mindset with thinking ability that stretches far beyond the norm. Number three, making you more aware of your surroundings and your environment as a whole. Number four, you can see people in a different light, then more often treating them with more care and respect. Number five, and you find yourself giving more love to yourself and discovering the better part of whom you are. There are plenty more to discuss that could have been added past the five, but just know that this is the life you will now be living when you take your thinking ability outside the box very seriously. There's nothing wrong with your mind getting to another level in life and then your actions follow suit. So never let anyone make you feel out of place for doing so. In fact, thinking outside the box is definitely what you want. This is also in terms of always wanting to push yourself to learn more, finding new discoveries, and maturing your mind beyond measures. The more this happens, the better and easier your thoughts will become. And by elevating your thoughts, your life will definitely reap the greater benefits thereof. Please write this: I am the captain of my ship. I will not wait for the winds to fill my sails for movement. I will find another way to make something happen in my own life. Again, I am the captain of my ship. I will not wait for the winds to fill my sails for movement. I will find another way to make something happen in my own life. This is part of outside the box thinking. So take part in that, be about that, and live like that. This is your time now, as I will quote a very special piece of Haile Selassie's speech address on the 4th of October, 1963, during the United Nations General Assembly. I will hope this quote influenced a spark in your mind to help motivate you towards bigger and broader thinking. Okay, quote begins. We must look first to the Almighty God, who has raised men above the animals and endowed him with intelligence and reason. We must put our faith in him, that he will not desert us or permit us to destroy humanity, which he has created in his image. And Haile Selassie also goes on to say, and we must look into ourselves, into the depths of our souls. We must become something we have never been and for which our education and experience and environment have ill prepared us. We must become bigger than we have been, more courageous, greater in spirit, larger in outlook. Ending quote. Again, I will hope this quoted speech I got by Haile Selassie influence a spark in your mind to help motivate you towards bigger and broader thinking. My name is Antonio DeAndre. I thank you for listening. Until you hear me again, stay blessed, share that love with others. Take care.